You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
U.S. Cellular has noticed the way we use our phones has gotten ironic. We try to put our phones down for dinner, but the menu's on a QR code. That's ironic. We hit like on social posts that we don't actually like, which is ironic. Which is why U.S. Cellular created Us Mode, to help us reconnect with each other and use our phones less ironically. A phone company wanting people to use their phones less is ironic. Let's find us again with Us Mode from U.S. Cellular. Visit uscellular.com/built-for-us to get started.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay. We've got Emilio in Tennessee. We got Jacob also in Wisconsin. Gents, how we doing this evening?
Good. Doing good.
You sound very energetic. That's what I'm talking about. That's the energy I'm looking for there, Emilio. Great job.
Yeah, sorry about
that. Just, how's life treating you? Taking forever.
Battery kept dying.
Sit your butt outside.
Thank you.
Get him out of here,
Tim.
Tim.
With the mower.
Appreciate you sponsoring the show. It's so hard to do a show with you guys. I'm just going to say that. But let's get this thing kicked off. What's up, Andy APAC? Good to see you, buddy. Anybody around the horn here? Anybody got anything they want to hit on right off the top of the show here? I like opening up with this just in case we get too busy and can't hit on something you guys wanted to hit on. I know, Jacob, yesterday you set the world on fire with your kicker talk. And
we got a lot of feedback on that.
Yes, we did. We did. My favorite was on Twitter. I can't remember who tweeted it out, but they said something about grown-ass men arguing over kickers. Laughing emoji. So you
heard it from a fan right here.
Oh, look at that.
Anything.
Mine was right here. Prince just brought it up. He calls him the Nigerian Prince is out. The Australian kicker is in for the free international practice squad roster spot. So he will account for, we know definitely one of the 70 is set to go there.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Paul Brettel tweeted it out, said Packers designated kicker Alex Hill as international pathway player. Hill is from Australia. Good day, mate. That means they released Kenneth Odumegwu, who was on the team as IPP. Yeah, you know me. Hill was previously on the 90-man, so I think there is now an open roster spot, is what Paul Brettel said. I was taking around the horn there with Tim and Emilio. What do y'all think of that move, man? It kind of feels like they might see a little something in Hill at kicker long-term, maybe. I mean, why else would you do this, right?
I was just going to say, I think this says more about Hale than it does about Odumegwu. He was a project player. I thought he made some improvements compared to how he played last year, but clearly it was time to move on. So I think it says something about this kicker battle. To me, I'm not budging off of Anders Carlson. I still think he's our kicker. I think this leads more credence to the fact that they're going to stash Hale on the practice squad. He's protected, and that means Anders will go into week one as our kicker, I think.
There you go.
Yeah,
Could be wrong. Could be wrong. You heard it from a fan.
First I saw that. I feel for Kenneth. He was growing definitely, but like Tim was saying, I mean, Hale's going to be a free roster spot, right? So he's at 70th. We will always have him. He's locked in, sort of thing. I think that's probably more of the move. They don't have to worry about losing him or anything like that, and don't have to worry about wasting a practice squad spot on a kicker. If we could get a couple more skilled players in there, maybe that's a move because our roster is deep on talent that they want to keep around, sort of thing.
Got it. Good stuff. Yeah, for me, it's again, I kind of said it right there off the top. It sounds like they see maybe Hill as I don't know, an asset moving forward. Maybe you get into the season and he grows. Maybe they see some long-term potential there. I'm not sure. But it's going to be interesting. And the whole conversation that we had yesterday, I was joking about it, right here off cuff. But, it's going to be interesting to see if any of these quality kickers do get cut, right? And they maybe potentially bring one in after the final cuts, or if they move forward with Anders. Someone told me today, and I could be wrong, I can't remember who mentioned it. It might have been one of you guys. It might have been someone else that Anders Carlson's hit percentage in training camp last year was in the 60s. And then he went into the season and ended up kicking, what was it, 83%? Is that what we said yesterday, Tim, I believe?
Like 83 and a half or something, yeah. 82 and a half.
So if you talk about how his percentage in camp increased significantly into the regular season, if you get just a slight increase, a 5% increase, you're now at 85 as opposed to 80. And I'm not saying there's really, I'm not trying to draw a straight line there or anything, but it was interesting that someone pointed out. I didn't realize he only kicked 60-something% in camp last year, if that is true. Allegedly. Okay, so anything else you guys want to add to that kicker talk there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to see John in the chat here said Hale has this very strong leg, and that's evident. My point is so does Anders Carlson. I think there's a emphasis on that. This league has changed. 45 to 50-yard field goals are now routine. They're expected. You're looking for guys that can boot at 50-plus on a regular basis. So I think Hale's kind of got the same struggle that Anders has, which is honing in that accuracy. I don't think the leg strength is an issue. If you can kick it a mile, but you can't put it in between the uprights, it's not going to help us. So it's a matter of who gets the accuracy down the best and the quickest. I think that's going to take this job. And really, I still believe it's Anders' job to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's no
and
doubt
CJN was pretty much going to hit on what I was going to say. In reality, Anders' extra points that we were all complaining about, sure, he missed some field goals, but that happens. I believe he'll get his extra point kicks figured out. And when do we hear about them kicking extra points? We're all worried about the field goal percentage right now. And also, it is practice. I mean, you're supposed to make mistakes in practice. If he's trying to pull something, push it, all these different things, we expect that. He's banged him in the game already, right? So I'm really not worried about Anders. I expect him to miss in practice. I expect him to try to push it. I don't want, Jacob to come over here and scream about Ray Finkel, laces out sort of thing. But
Jacob, would you like to respond, sir?
No, but I did,
Jacob being mature tonight. I love it.
I took our little tassel, whatever you want to call it, last night. And I decided I was going to look into some guys to see if there are any prospects. And I promise you guys, we're going to get off kickers in like 2 seconds here. I promise. I found a man, I think his name was, I don't have it in front of me. I wrote it down. I sent it over to Clay.
His name isn't important. Tell us about it.
He's got a luxurious orange waterfall hair, right? And he was a Michigan State kicker. He went into the UFL, and then I believe became the UFL's like special teams player of the year. And he also had accolades. Basically in the last 2 years since he went semi-pro / pro, he's only missed like 2 kicks. He's something like 98% or something crazy. And again, he looks the part. He's got the orange Kentucky waterfall. Get this man.
Matthew Coughlin.
Coughlin, thank you.
What's crazy is I've got to be careful here because there's a video attached. I'm going to share this with you guys real quick. I had a listener text me about the same time that you talked about this morning, Jacob. We had a listener actually send me a DM on Twitter with the same guy. So you guys were definitely, unless that's your burner account, it may be, I don't know, but
so it was 1265. I'm pretty sure he's tagged me in it, and that's what got me excited and started digging. So
it says 2023, and again, I don't know how to say his last name. Would you say it was Matthew
Coughlin?
Yeah, it's Coughlin.
Okay, Matthew Coughlin, and it says 2023 season with the USFL, 18 of 19 on field goals at 95%, 25 for 25 on extra points. He had a long of 55, so got plenty of leg there. Cut the third kicker and give this dude a shot is what he said. I won't go through the whole message there, but I do want to click on what Jacob was talking about so we can see this beautiful Kentucky waterfall.
Ooh, baby.
Wow.
Tell me that guy right there can't
steal your girl.
Oh. Mr. Steal Your Beer. Look at them cheeks. My man looks sauced up right there. You kidding me? Hey, listen, again, I'm all about competition. It is wild. Are we sure he's available?
I can't find him on any roster, but a lot of man, I'm so disappointed, by the way, just with ESPN and NFL.com. They're just such crap sites. I don't know. They don't have anything listed for like the current preseason rosters, and if they are, they're so outdated. Some of the guys have already been cut, some of them, whatever. Yeah. I can't find them. Let's see if maybe do we got Smitty or anybody in the chat that wants to play Jamie and see if you can find if he is on a current practice squad or team or anything like that.
Smitty, do a background check real quick on this kid, all right? See if you can find a social for us. Now, I don't know about still your girl, but I definitely be guarding my spotted cow around this cat. He looks like he throw down some beer, does he not?
Yeah, that's the truth.
Not an attractive man either. Probably could fight pretty good. I was taught at an early age, you never fight someone who's ugly. They've got nothing to lose. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's keep an eye on that kicker there and see what happens. Tim, anything else you want to add? Let's see if we can keep this kicker talk going for another 30 minutes.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
That's good enough for me to move on. Other news.
2 days in a row, we started the show with a 10-minute kicker section. Yes!
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. And we wonder why the numbers are down.
Yeah, but Jacob, I'm all for it. But what conditions has he kicked in, Jacob?
I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm done.
All right, so this kind of snuck by me yesterday. So we talked about A.J. Dillon and the stinger, right? The I guess what's considered technically a neck injury, right? Anyone who's ever had a stinger, they suck. Yep. They suck bad. Wes Hawkins tweeted out LaFleur on A.J. Dillon's stinger. That sounds really bad, but quote, we're being cautious with him and making sure we gather all the information before we let him back out there. So they seem a little hesitant on that. Now, the reason I want to bring this up, and I don't want to take credit for this, it dawned on me when I was listening to Wildy and Tausch earlier today. And they said, originally we thought, okay, the fact that A.J. Dillon did not play in the game in Denver, I guess they see him as a starting, not necessarily a starter, but he's a lock for the roster. We talked about that on the show, right? I didn't dream that, right, guys? We did talk about that. Yep. So one thing he pointed out was if he had a stinger, then maybe he's not as much a lock. The reason he didn't play was the stinger because they said, if I understood correctly, this happened during the Cleveland game. Is it the way you guys took that? Or maybe it was a joint practice. I'm not sure. But does that make sense? Do you think there might be something to that might have been the reason he wasn't out there? And if he was fully healthy, they would have had him out there, and maybe he's not so much a lock for the roster? Or do you guys still think A.J. Dillon's a lock?
I'm comfortable saying he's a lock.
Okay.
I'll disagree.
Of course. Let's hear it.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Because we've done this many times, guys. Now pump the brakes. I'm going to come at this in a very level-headed tone here.
Oh, God.
We've talked about how the running back room is deep, but it's not. How the injuries could maybe play a chess moves with Marshawn Lloyd ends up on IR, the pup, whatever you want to call it. I feel like Emmanuel Wilson has just proved so much. I watched the interview of him that just released maybe a few hours ago, and he talked about how Josh Jacobs has kind of taken him under his wing, how he's worked on certain aspects of his game. He was all yes, sir, no, sir. They asked about his body of work and if he's been happy with it. He talked about how this could possibly be the last game that he plays in green and gold, and how he doesn't want that to be the case, and how they asked him, what specifically are you looking to accomplish in your third final preseason game? Simple answer, he goes, bring my pad level down. Like, the guy knows what he needs to do. He said, bring my pad level down and explosive plays, and that's it. And he goes, everything else, he's like, I've kind of put in the work. I think that they see the escalation or the ascension of his game matched with the amount of, I can't help but say it, but decline in A.J. Dillon's game. It just has been. You can't tell me it hasn't been. I love the past game stuff.
That, man. It is, Jay, because it has, bro.
And I love the guy to death. Like, if I could just give somebody like a Rudy or on the team roster spot, you know what I mean? I'd give it to him.
That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're going to do with him. And it'll be Marshawn Lloyd IR, it'll be Jacobs, Dillon, and it'll be Emmanuel Wilson. Those will be your three.
Yeah, I'm just saying I could see a possibility where if they need to shave one or two roster spots, I could see them trying to sneak two in and doing some sort of move. I don't know what that move would be, but
I like the move with Odomegwu today because now we protected a kicker as an insurance policy. Mm-hmm. We trimmed the fat there, so we kind of did free up another position player roster spot because we've got that international asterisk there with our 70th. So there's an extra guy right there by by releasing Odumegwu.
Hey, I was thinking of something today too, and this could be completely way out there, but it seems like every year I'm not talking about beyond the ice wall, Emilio, calm down, right? So every year that seems like there's a movie go, man, I didn't see that coming. And they do it in a way that they manipulate the roster, the initial 53.
Yep.
What if, and again, what I mean by that is like you set the initial 53 and maybe 3 or 4 days later, you bring somebody right back on the team, right? Mm-hmm. Type thing. What if they only carried one quarterback? What if they put both of them on the practice squad initially? Now, it's far-fetched because Pratt, you're going to lose out on 3 years on that contract, right? Essentially is what it's going to – well, you'll lose out on 2 years on that contract. With Sean Clifford, it makes a lot more sense. That's why it's really, really far-fetched. But I'm just kind of looking at the roster going, what are they going to do? There's going to be a move. Mark my words. We're going to look up the day that they set the roster and go, wow, they really manipulated that final 53 by doing this that we didn't expect type thing. That just kind of crossed my mind. Like, I wonder if they'll do that. Or here's another one too. What if they didn't carry either kicker on the initial 53 and signed Anders back? You know what I mean? Top thing. They could utilize that extra spot to give them a couple of days to kind of get things straightened out. Might be something like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I didn't know what you guys might
maybe AJ, like Ron. I was thinking like Ron here. Maybe AJ ends up on IR with Lloyd, right?
That's
and then we run Jacobs and Wilson.
Is there any chance to counteract that hypothesis or scenario for you, Clayton? Did you by chance get to read that article I sent you about the possible trade candidates?
I've actually got it here. If you guys want to hit on it, we can do that.
I mean, I just feel like it's a cool, or not a cool, but an appropriate segue to see, okay, we're talking about how we're going to shave down spots to just make for, like to get guys on this 53. What about just shipping guys away and taking picks? You know what I'm saying? What if that's the way they're looking at doing it? Because they're so stacked at certain areas that they feel, hey, we can not hurt our team this year because we have so much depth, and we can help our team next year by building extra in the draft. I don't like it. I'll tell you first and foremost that if he does pull this clip up here, I don't agree with any of these. I'm a homer. I don't want to lose these guys. There is one other wrinkle I'll throw into this is that I sent also a screenshot, I believe, to the group chat today of course, the best podcaster out there, Peter Bukowski, showing that the Browns are interested in trading away DTR, who, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he is, I think, a very promising up-and-coming quarterback. I don't know.
You always find a way to cause uproar.
Is there any scenario where you could see the Packers trading away one of our backups for a guy that is a solid stud up-and-comer backup? For maybe, let's say
we have 2 solid stud up and comer backups right now.
See, we're gonna fight again.
I'm asking a scenario. I'm not saying.
Let me ask you this. This is my only thing though. Would you say DTR? Is that right?
Yes.
Not PDR. DTR. Okay.
Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Yeah. Right. How do we know he's a stud? How many games has he played?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the only thing. And I know a lot of people were excited about him. And he's done good things up to this point.
You guys realize I'm not proposing this, right? I'm simply sharing that this is Bukowski.
Just enough.
Because in my head, I'm trying to think, how does that even plausibly work? Like, why would you throw that out? And it'd have to be that you're willing to either release your quarterbacks or trade one of them. So I don't know. I don't see that happening. I don't want it to happen. Again, I'll preface it with that. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm going to tell you, tonight at 6 p.m., West Shore Home Baths right here. You see? This is great. It says three Packers most likely to be traded before roster cut down. This is done by, say this name for me, Jacob.
I think it's just Sarah. Sorry.
You crushed it. So they wrote this article, okay? And these are the three scenarios. I thought it was 3 players, and you'll see they really kind of expanded this out.
Yeah.
But number 1, Emmanuel Wilson. It says, as of right now, the Green Bay Packers have more depth at the running back position than they can probably afford to keep on their 53-man roster. That was a red flag to me. I was like, wait a minute. We're all talking about A.J. Dillon averaging under 4 yards a carry, but we're so deep that we can afford to trade one. I don't know. But anyway, so it says it's not impossible that they could keep 4 running backs, but where are carries going to come from for Emmanuel Wilson? The Packers signed Josh Jacobs a big money contract in free agency. They followed up that move by surprisingly figured out way to re-sign A.J. Dillon, who has had a good offseason with the team. They then tripled down at the position by taking USC star Marshawn Lloyd in the third round of the 2024 NFL Draft. So, first question, round the horn, Emmanuel Wilson, would you be willing to trade him, and what would it take in return to trade Emmanuel Wilson? As Tim tries to
second Greg
right on his keyboard here. All right. So everyone says no to Emmanuel Wilson being traded.
No.
What would you take for him, Jacob?
What would it take for you to trade Emmanuel
with a water gun? What would it take?
A cannoli.
I was saying like a third or a fourth. They really want to pay up.
I mean, if they were to give us a third or a fourth for Wilson, I'm sorry, I love you, brother, but
Tim, that'd be hard to turn that down, Tim. And I know you're feeling the same way I am right now. But if someone said, "Hey, I'll give you a third for Emmanuel Wilson," probably doing that. What do you think, man?
Talk to me after we really know what's going on with Marshawn Lloyd. I'm with
Coach,
you, but
Coach says he'd take a fifth.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, a fifth. The reality is, a fifth is a two round increase, right? I mean, he was undrafted free agent, correct? So you're
but he's going to start stocking picks soon. So
yeah.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
So we're a year and a half in with him right now. You trade him for a fifth rounder or something. You're back. You're erasing a year and a half. You're going backwards. Another unproven.
Just real quick before we get too far away from the topic, just because it'd be kind of stupid. But Respect Order says so many QBs don't mind Clements getting his hands on him. That's talking about DTR. And just to be fair, Andy says, guys, everybody take a chill pill. To be fair, Peter does this for the living. We are definitely not the same, and that's true. We got.
You heard it from
and
a
one
fan
last
right
one.
here.
Coach Len comes in hot, stirring the pot even farther. He says, I would trade for the quarterback DTR. He fits what we do. Plus, I bet we were targeting him before we settled on Clifford. That was one I thought about too, just because he seems like a fit. But I won't stir that pot no more.
No more. You heard it from a fan drop. It was absolutely
that was
beautiful.
Perfect. That was perfect.
I salute you, sir. All right. So next trade potential here. This cracked me up. Number 2. It's supposed to be 3 players, right? And it says Bo Melton, Grant DeBose, Malik Heath.
Does the person who wrote this know that those are 3 different people?
Listen, it's 2024. They could be one person. You never know. Okay. So this is what it says. There's no law in the NFL that states you can't keep more than 6 wide receivers on a roster. But when you typically see the construction of 53-man rosters around the league, teams aren't keeping more than 5 or 6 guys. The Green Bay Packers could end up being an exception thanks to their talent at wide receiver right now, which is absolutely ridiculous. Hey, thank you for that. Appreciate it. The Packers have no issues at the top of their depth chart with 4 spots solidified and 4 players very clearly in the mix to contribute heavily this season. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, and Dontavion Wicks will all be in the plans for Matt LaFleur's offense, and all of those guys will play significant snaps. The question is, who are the Packers keeping behind them? Going off of last year's group, yada, yada, yada. So the question is, Bo Melton, Grant DeBose, Malik Heath. I'd be willing to trade one of those guys if that's what it's asking. right?
Yeah.
If for me, let's say I think I'm just speaking for myself, and I want to get your all's take. Bo Melton is above Grant DeBose and Malik Heath for me personally. Do you guys agree with that or disagree?
I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
I would only say for the argument of what's the best trade value to get back, I would say Bo Melton would be definitely our biggest bargaining chip out of those three. Does that make sense? Like we could get a higher draft pick, I think, for Bo Melton than the other two would be my only.
Yeah, then probably Malik Heath, then probably Grant DeBose.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it too, Tim.
Right.
And the only problem with doing that, Jacob, in my opinion, Bo Melton was the only receiver last year, or the first receiver last year to get 100 yards, right, in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's crazy.
Bo Melton was a difference maker, So, yes, he's probably going to warrant more draft capital in return. But the problem is your wide receiver room takes the biggest hit getting rid of him.
Yeah. Have we seen enough from DeBose and Heath to move on from Bo and move one of them up into that spot is the question.
Yeah. So if somebody came to me and said, hey, man, we'll give you a 4th-round pick for Grant DeBose, I'd probably do that. I think that 4th is kind of the range there for me. Emilio, you're quiet over there, dude.
I wouldn't.
Bo, but Grant DeBose blocks, but so does Malik Heath. It's a tough decision. I think
I want to see Grant DeBose play first. Have we really even seen him play football yet?
Tim, he dropped 2 passes the other night.
Wow.
That's one less than Bo dropped in the last.
Who's going to be the goon that Matt LaFleur wants? That comes in and sifts out those DNs and stuff like that.
You know who it is? It's Water Cooler, Emilio.
That's
what I'm saying.
You see him lay that kick returner out on special teams?
Yeah.
Come on, man. That was a thing of beauty right there from Grant DeBose.
I was going to say, definitely
some of these receivers.
I would just say DeBose and Malik Heath, I would argue, are probably better special teams players. I don't know.
But Grant DeBose did play a bunch of gunner, I think, for pump in college. So
I look at these 3 names and I see makes the team, practice squad, and a cut. That's what I see. And I'm just trying to figure out who's who. I think one of these guys makes it. One of them goes to the practice squad.
So you're
one
playing
of them is outright released. That's what I think is going to happen.
You're playing Booth, Mary Kill.
I mean, if you're asking what I want Grant DeBose as wide receiver 6 on this team. I really do.
That's what you want?
That's what I'd like to happen. Huh?
Who's 5? You're saying who are you letting go? Oh, really? Okay.
No, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Like, or you're seeing a scenario. One of these guys gets cut or released. One of them goes to the practice squad. Hopefully doesn't get snatched up, but more than likely will. And then you've got a guy that's making the team. So Bo probably makes the team. Grant DeBose to the practice squad. Malik Heath outright released. Maybe. I'm not making a prediction. I'm just saying these are possible scenarios, not necessarily probable.
Torres over here, what's he doing? He's grabbing his
There's
helmet.
another guy who's,
Yeah.
Get the cut, man.
I'm kind of done with Torre, to be honest with you. Like if he makes the practice squad, that means okay, the team sees a little something else in him. But for me, it would be Bo Melton as the 5th receiver, Malik Heath as the 6th, Grant DeBose to the practice squad.
That's what I was thinking.
That's kind of how I would roll with it. But
just because he's Malik is going to be one that it will block every play if he has to, and then gets one pass, makes the catch, and we're moving on. He can block.
It's true. All right. Moving along. 3rd, Kingsley and Igbare.
Who
the hell wrote this article, sir?
Sarah.
How dare you?
He's a lot.
I won't even take the time to read that portion of the article. I'm just
simply padlock on him.
Yeah. I have no interest whatsoever in trading Kingsley and Igbare.
Amen.
Like his pressure percentage last year was like what, 2nd, 3rd highest?
Right. And I'd have to believe too that other teams would be a little weary on him because he is coming off of a pretty substantial knee injury that he came back from crazy fast. And I don't know, man. I just edge defender does not seem like the type that I would ever deal away. It's just one of those positions where it's too valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. Completely agree. Let's get that article out of here. What are we doing?
Unbelievable, Jacob.
Sorry.
I didn't say Jacob. I just said unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Well, they sucked him in. He clicked on it. He started reading it.
Yeah, you're right.
Figured
Jacob,
it out.
what the hell?
Sit your butt outside.
Go ahead. What Jacob?
No, 12 for this is right. It's that Sorry Sarah girl. That's the Mike Florio burner. We figured it out.
I like it. Way to bring it back full circle. All right, next. Today they had a walkthrough, right? A light walkthrough. So we got a little bit of an injury update. Let's go ahead and hit on it real quick. And this came out from Pete Doherty from, I think he's, is he with the Green Bay Press Gazette? Am I thinking right, Tim? Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
Anyway, it's at Pete Doherty, so you can find him on Twitter. Said practice injury report. Practice is jogged through before tomorrow's joint practice with the Ravens. Returning from injury today was Banks, who had a groin, Goforth, who got slightly concussed from getting truck sticked by Jarrett Stidham, and then Preston Smith, who had the illness. So those three guys were back. Still out. A.J. Dillon with the stinger, Marshawn Lloyd with the hammy. What we say this guy's name is?
Spencer. We're just going to go with Spencer.
Spency with the concussion. Andre Dillard with the shoulder. And then our boy or Jacob's boy, Tyler Davis with the shoulder as well. So that's the
good news is Christian Welch is healthy. So that's good news.
And it really, the only thing that sucks is Marshawn Lloyd is missing out on so many important reps. But I think we would all agree I'm more concerned about him not having a hammy completely ready week one, to the point where I'm just kind of preparing myself for him to start the season on the IR.
He needs to. There's no other way he's making the roster, I feel like. You know what I mean? How he hasn't even shown enough to be able to be like, all right, we're going to drop a 53 spot on him. I feel like he needs to be on IR and then float his way back in.
And I think he warrants a 53 spot, but he's probably not going to be on the game day active roster. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not going to – even if he was healthy, he's so kind of far behind right now. Granted, running back is a position that there's not as much choice routes to learn in LaFleur's offense, but at the same time, it's kind of a tough look there. So anything you guys want to add to that injury talk there? Anything at all that spark any thoughts?
Good to see Keyshawn Banks returning. That's it's been a while. So
yeah.
He's kind of been a guy that's been on our radar last couple of years, and it's good to see him back out there.
There you go. All right. This is pretty cool. This came across Twitter from The Ringer, and it says the Packers have all the ingredients needed for an elite offense. So I hope I'm saying this name right. Shail Capadia. That sound right? Close enough.
Sounds right.
Works for The Ringer NFL. Put out the top offense rankings in the NFL. Number 1, Green Bay Packers. Number 2, Houston Texans. Number 3, San Francisco 49ers. Number 4, Detroit Lions. Number 5, Miami Dolphins. 6, Cincinnati Bengals. 7, Kansas City Chiefs. 8, Philadelphia Eagles. 9, Buffalo Bills. And 10, Baltimore Ravens. This surprised me. This felt like a little bit of homerism here, but at the same time, man, they peaked last year. I don't think anyone would argue they were most likely the best offense in the league as the season wrapped up last year. You would hope they can kind of pick up where they left off, although it's not a slam dunk. But what do you guys think about this list right here?
I think it's appropriate. Like you talked about, I mean, if you're looking at just the back end, how the Packers offense ended and how it went into the playoffs, even that game against the 49ers, if you guys remember, I mean, it was a rough, goings for parts of it, but that was one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league last year. So all things considered, I think this is fair, especially we talked about how many guys are making that second-year jump. That's huge. And so many guys are making the second to third-year jump, which I don't know about you guys, but I'd argue your biggest leaps of your capabilities are going to be years 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, you're kind of just honing, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
And honestly, some of the other lists seem like they're going down. I mean, San Fran still needs to figure out what they're doing. Detroit
doesn't have anybody other than Laporta, and if what's-his-face gets hurt, they're number 2 and number 3 and number 4 wide receivers are nobody knows who they are really, other than Williams and Khalif Raymond.
They got Jameson Williams, right?
Jameson Williams and Khalif Raymond, and then there's a bunch of random dudes.
Yeah, and they got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's the best basically the best slot receiver in the game as of last year. Sam Laporta's a stud.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I think he's about to take the reins from George Kittle and Travis Kelce as the best tight end in the league, because he was that good. There's no denying it. And I want the Detroit Lions in the face, but man, I also love watching good football, and Sam Laporta plays the tight end position the right way. There's no doubt about it. But go ahead though, Tim, Emilio.
Oh, I'm with it. I like this. I mean, it's kind of early, but to see the Packers, the Niners, the Lions, all in the top 5 there, that's really telling you what we kind of all suspected, that 3 or 4 of the top offenses are coming out of the NFC. Everyone else is AFC teams here. The Texans being at 2 is not a surprise after the kind of season they had last year. Miami's always going to be in the mix, Cincinnati, of course, and then, the usual suspects there to round out the list. So I think it is cool to see the Pack at the top. Starting the season at number 1 on the list is good. I think we're gonna end the season the same way.
Yeah, and I think that honestly, we have the highest upside. I think that helps. Besides the Texans, where everybody else is getting older, it seems like. The Chiefs brought in a small, speedy wide receiver. I mean, the Bills, they're going probably to 12 personnel. The Ravens, what are they going to be, with Henry and everything, a lot of running sort of stuff. So, I mean, I like that we have the highest potential, and they think that, we can explode, because the offense does need to, show up and carry this team until we, make sure the defense is good to go. Obviously, we have a bunch of talent over there, but we still don't know what that's going to look like. We had a glimpse of the offense last year.
Yeah. CJN says, hello, Posse. Watched last night's episode today, and all I have to say is 10 minutes on arguing about a kicker. So, Jacob, I've been fielding these all day. I appreciate you so much, sir. So, Andy A. Pack says, anyone else feel Wyatt is under the radar as a potential difference maker this year? Just based on comments from Herman, I think he might ball out. I mean, the dude is one hell of a pass rusher. There's no denying that. I think personally he's a better pass rusher right now than Kenny Clark is. People are going to go, oh, I think he is. The problem is he just plays so out of control. He doesn't play with good balance. He doesn't play well within the scheme. He's just, and what I mean by that, you could turn on the tape sometimes, and that dude is just like a Tasmanian devil in other people's rush lane. It's like, bro, you have got to chill out here. And you run yourself out of run plays, right? Now, in a one gap, a lot more freedom to do that, and that's what we're in now. But I think that's a fair assessment there, Andy, that he is a little under the radar. He's just got to put it together. We've seen it in the preseason the other day, right? Where he got into the backfield a couple of times, if I remember correctly, and just missed the quarterback. Great pressure, but it's like you got to be able to finish the play. It's different when you're coming off the edge because you're so much further away, and the quarterback is taught. Some plays are designed. Let that edge climb up the field, step up in the pocket, step out to the right. But as a defensive tackle, man, when you collapse that pocket, you got to be able to finish for sure. So, but yeah, I think Wyatt's poised for a big year here, man, in this one gap scheme, because that's what they played at Georgia, right? Am I remembering correctly, guys, that they played a 4-3 in Georgia, one gap? So, no,
I think so. Yeah.
I haven't played with them on NCAA. I couldn't tell you.
That's the parameter, right?
Emilio's waiting for his NIL deal to get squared away first.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
AFAM says, I heard Paul Allen and The Rock are going to do the game together against the Vikings, Jacob. So there you go. And then he also went on, AFAM went on to say, Jacob Beard has Paul Allen's autograph above his mantle. Is that true?
I don't know, but was AFAM listening to us pre-show? That's kind of creepy, bro. If you guys don't know, Inside Baseball, we went on here and we went through Paul Allen's top 4 highlights of the worst Vikings losses, and just watching that man absolutely have a mental and emotional breakdown live on air. It's great.
Took us a while to narrow it down to 4 losses since there were so many to choose from.
Yeah.
I love it.
A couple of them came down to kickers too.
They did. A lot of them did, actually.
All right, John here, bringing a little bit of news to the show, says Penei Sewell injured his ankle today. If the Lions' offensive line get banged up, Goff is horrible. I disagree with the Goff is horrible, but Penei Sewell, who was it that said the other day? I think it was Michael Lombardi, said Penei Sewell is the real deal. He said, I'm talking Hall of Fame real deal. Penei Sewell is. So if they were to miss him, that changes a lot of things on that offensive line. I don't know how serious the ankle injury is, but I will say this, man, we seem to be getting a little bit of help across the north. It just seems like every other day something horrible is happening to the Vikings. And then, of course, with the Lions here with Penei Sewell, if it does linger on, that could be an issue, obviously. But how do you guys feel about Jared Goff? Because I personally feel like Jared Goff is a borderline top 5 quarterback. That's just me. I could be wrong, but definitely top 10 in my opinion. But I think there's times he plays top 5.
Yeah, I think top 10 would be probably the number I would drop him in. He could probably hover around 5 maybe, but I think he's got a decent cast around him. But like you said, he just doesn't have I just don't know if he can carry him, right? You know, he got him through one playoff game, and then
I think John's point is accurate. You know, if the Lions keep their O-line intact, he's probably teetering top 5. But if they're banged up and he's, you know, not protected well back there, I don't know. I don't know if I put him top 5. But then again, you know, Goff is proven, you know, he's played under pressure more than one occasion in his career. So I don't know. I'm not a top 5 believer, but I definitely say top 10 for sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think he's top 10. And I think at times, like I said, there's been times he's showed up and it's like, dang, he played as good as any quarterback in the league this week. But putting it together week in and week out.
I'd consider him more like top 15, and just the fact that he is an absolute organizational pocket type passer that needs everybody else to be doing their job so that he can do his job kind of thing. I don't feel like if the pocket breaks down and he's asked to be an athlete, that's where it's going to go south for Jared Goff real quick.
Got it. There you go. So keep an eye on that Penei Sewell injury. Obviously, that will affect the NFC North moving forward. Deadfish says, reminds me of Lynn Dickey, great passer, but no mobility. There you go. I think it's a pretty good comparison there. Prince in the chat says, TJ Slayton should have been on the possible trade list. Contract year, stack position, can play nose tackle in the 34. That's not a bad – I don't think that's a bad take, Prince. But the question is, who's your one tech? You know what I mean? Who's your one tech behind?
Jonathan Ford, baby.
Yeah.
It does kind of make sense.
Jake, sir.
Jonathan Ford apparently is balled out. People are
You heard it from a fan
Jonathan
right
Ford.
here.
Just saying.
Hey, hopefully he does pan out. I'm just, yeah, we'll see. Heyo, Prince. That's cool. So Jonathan Ford is now your starting one tech in a 4-3 base, is what we're saying here. If something happens to TJ Slate.
Did you hear that? That guy, that right there, when you said it that way,
It sounded horrible, right?
It sounded like Everybody Loves Ray. Deborah.
All right.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
That's what AFAM says. AFAM says, I'm worried about our splits being too wide again, like with Joe Barry.
Ooh.
I've said this 500 times. It's not a Joe Barry thing. It's an NFL thing. And you know what's crazy? What's happening in college football right now, and it's starting to try to leak into the NFL, although the numbers were absolutely horrible last year. 3 deep safeties. That's another thing that's starting to come into play. Could you imagine if we came out, and had a 3 deep safety look? Unbelievable.
Sit your butt outside.
Jacob, you have been suspended for 1 game. Conduct detrimental to the team.
Things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
I don't get paid enough for this.
Did you see even when we were in the 4-3 over, though, like we still had 5 down. And
Here you go. Don't you try to get serious.
We were still getting catched on the run.
All right. So, again, what I was meaning, AFAM, is everyone in the league plays. If you're talking about the two deep safeties, right? Now, if you're talking about corners playing off or receivers, you can look all the way across the league. 9 times out of 10, if you're in a stack look or a bunch set, right, the receiver closest to the line, there'll be someone playing press. Everyone else is 7 to 8 yards off the ball. If you're showing a trip set, very, very similar. They'll try to take the guy who's on the line of scrimmage, play a little press. Everyone else is off the ball. That's just the way the NFL is right now. You won't find tape where everyone's pressing every single play. You won't find tape where people are pressing 60% of the time. It doesn't exist in the NFL. Now Joe Barry, it became this Packer fan culture to just poke fun at him, because it's like he was the only DC that was playing off the ball like that. You're going to see it with Hafley, and and I'm not trying to sound like an a-hole here, but I tried to prep everybody. Because the first thing I did when they hired Half is I went and looked at Boston College. I went and looked at Robert Sala. I went back to the 49er days. I went back to the Ohio State days. There's nothing there that suggests he's going to do anything crazy different. The positive, though, is how he's going to affect these defensive backs and how he's going to be able to coach those guys up. Tim, you still trying to hold it together, ain't you, man? Are you okay?
Emilio in the private chat.
Oh God! See,
I can't.
I do think that Hafley bringing that scheme and that ability with the secondary, man, we are ready to go. And I think it was on Move the Sticks with Bucky and Lance Zierlein. They were talking about rookies of the year for offense defense, and he said that it was like top 10. He had Edgerrin Cooper. Lance had Edgerrin Cooper as a possible defensive rookie of the year. I like that. But what if we had a safety?
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, we got a couple options there, right?
See?
Javon Bullard. You've got Evan Williams. Yep.
I don't know. Something to think about.
All right. John in the chat says Goff had 6 turnovers in 2 games, Packers and Bears, when their center was out. So that's a good little nugget there for all you boys and girls. So 6 turnovers when their starting center was out. Makes sense. Really does. Greg Rice says, I wish I hadn't put that up there. Thank you, boys. Appreciate you for teeing that one up for me. That was probably
I heard
Jacob
it from a fan right here.
I did not tee that one up. Thank you.
Who did then? Who was that? Who was the stick claim to that?
Tim's being awfully quiet over there.
Eric Sutherland after us.
That's it. Yeah, let's just blame Eric. Be all right.
When in doubt, blame Eric.
Exactly. All right. Moving along. Thank God. Well, we at the 45-minute mark. We hit the injuries. We hit that list. I was going to get into a little X's and O's talk here. I guess we got time. We'll rattle through it real quick. From Bobby Peters' book, another play that he outlined. We've kind of talked about weak outside zone, and then we jumped into weak outside zone with some RPO, and now we're going to talk about the arrow RPO. All right, so let's just kind of give you a diagram here. This is, like I said, from the book by Bobby Peters, the 2023 Green Bay Packers Offensive Manual. This is what they call a outside zone YU arrow RPO. Now, in this case, there's not a U on the field. There is a Y. Okay, and what we mean by arrow, RPO arrow, notice the tight end on the left side here, guys. And for those of you listening on the pod, we're in 11 personnel, strong left, sidecar left. So it'd be 11 gun, strong left, T same. All right. And what you've got here essentially is it's a bit of a choice, but it's more of an arrow route with an RPO touch here. So everybody's run blocking except for the tight end who's strong left, who's on the left side. He's going to run a little arrow out here. So it's kind of like a short out, if you will. It's almost like it's in between a flat route and an out route. Okay. And the RPO look is obviously a run pass option. Jordan will read that left side. And when you tee it up by running outside weak zone all the time, that's what really sets this type of play up. Because in this situation right here, you can see teams were adjusting and they were playing in an under look. Notice how the nose tackle and the other defensive tackle is shaded to the weak side of the formation. Okay. That's what you would call an under. They're playing under the tight end rather than over. So you're creating an isolation play with the edge defender over there. If the will is trying to fit the run, is trying to meet the run fit here as well, that will leave that kind of that hybrid flat route on the RPO open to the Y. And you've seen them do this from time to time. Really, the one defender that you've got to beat out there is that cornerback, essentially, right? Especially if they're – notice the diagram they're showing here too, guys. They're showing shell coverage, 2 safeties on the shell, right? That's where you really want to attack the RPO game here. Now, you also got the run in your favor here. Now, they're in an under. That would probably deter you from running this weak outside zone aspect of the RPO. But if they were in an over, you'd probably stick with the run. Why, Emilio? Because we have the hat count, right?
Hat count.
Especially with this hat count, especially with the safety outside of the box, right? Because if the strong safety was up playing spur, Now you're probably checking to a different play. You might go with a dagger concept, try to hit a shot play deep. Probably, maybe a little hitch on the left with the X or with the technical Z. On the other side, have the number 2, who would be the slot, run a go route, have a deep dig from the 1 on the right, which would be your X technically. And here's what's cool. When we're talking about this forced them into a nickel set here, okay? And the reason it's a nickel set, a nickel formation for the defense or personnel, is because you've got 11 personnel out there. Imagine that far receiver, right, on the right side, the number 1 on the right. Imagine that being Musgrave. Now you've got them forced into a base defense, and you've really set yourself up to come to the line with your RPO arrow and maybe a can play to a dagger or a slot cross. And depending on what the safety does pre-snap, whether he plays spur or stays on the shelf, that's where you're going to decide pre-snap what the play is. These were the decisions that were being made when everybody was going, Aaron Rodgers refuses to run Matt LaFleur's offense. No, Jordan's doing the same thing. You're coming to the line with a couple of different options. You read the defense, and it's multi-layered. We're going to take it a step further. These are multiple outside zone YU arrow RPOs, okay? Now, on the top, what you got, now you've got a 12 personnel. We're going 12 gun, twins left. It's a balanced approach. You got the U off the line of scrimmage on the left. You got the Y on the line of scrimmage on the right, and you got twin wide receivers to the left. You got sidecar left, okay? Now, you can approach this the same exact way we just talked about the previous YU arrow RPO, that it's the same type of setup. You're just trying to hit that arrow route to the U. Now, if you go down one more play, now you've got the F flexed out here, which is your flyer position in this situation, okay? So you're in 11 personnel, similar to the play that we just showed. Now, check out the very bottom one. Now you've got 2 passing options in the RPO. You've got the arrow with the F, you got the arrow with the Y. So if for some reason they are playing off the ball, like in this situation right here, because it's essentially the same set, that nickelback is playing off there, right? Not Jacob's favorite band, but we're talking about the slot corner, okay? So with the nickel playing off, now imagine that nickel was playing that far off the slot, and then we come back to this same bottom look. You see how you could hammer that? And here's what's cool. If the X in that situation just focuses on blocking his corner, that's going to create traffic for that nickelback to try to come in and make that tackle on that F, and you've got the sideline, you're off to the races. So that's just 2 passing options in 1 RPO play, and the run is still on the table too. Go ahead, Jake.
Can I interject a question here, which is, I thought, a great question by Mr. Greg Rice, which, guys, if you ever have a procedural or as we're running through any of the X's and O's, definitely shoot it out as quickly as possible, and I'll try to get it up so Clayton can ask. He's asking a serious question. How does the O-line know to pass block or to run block with an RPO? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Clayton, it's kind of basically a timing thing, right? You execute a certain amount of blocks within a certain amount of space, knowing that you either have to run or pass. And if you don't get it done in time, you're either going to have your offensive lineman downfield or you're going to miss your blocks to set up the run, right? You're kind of
right. That's essentially it. Keep that up there for me, Jake, if you don't care.
Yeah.
I want to say this too. If you ever have a question, there's going to be many questions you ask I don't have the answers for. I promise you I'm going to say I ain't got the answer. We're going to find it together. Okay. In this situation, my experience, every RPO call is a run block scheme for the offensive line. They are run blocking. It's on the quarterback to get that ball out quick if he goes with the pass aspect of the run pass option. And the reason being, if he waits too long, those guys are assuming that there's no, did he pass it? There's none of that. It's we're firing off the ball. We're running weak outside zone, hell or high water. We're blocking it up like it's weak outside zone in case he goes with the run. So if the ball doesn't come out quick enough, you're going to get called for a legal procedure. It basically ineligible man downfield where an offensive lineman is downfield too far. And that can be a little bit convoluted as far as how strict someone is willing to call that penalty from an official standpoint. So hopefully that answered Greg Rice's questions.
1 yard, right? So they can still explode off the ball, get engaged, but it's also you're selling the run too. If we're not going to go into it, if they're going to start, they can't go into a pass set if we're going to try to run an RPO unless it's going to be like a draw RPO or something, which Matt probably could finagle. But you're really selling the run when they're all stepping right, stepping forward type thing.
Yeah, and that's the other big key to this is the defense 10 years ago was taught you read the offensive line. As soon as you notice zone blocking, attack your assignment. But now they have to be a half a second hesitant, just a split second hesitant, because there's so many RPO options that are involved in the play call. Jacob, did that answer the question though on that? That it's been my experience that they're always run blocking.
Yeah, that's what Greg just said. He goes, cool, I learned something. So yeah, you explained it much better than I could. So yeah, that's great.
Awesome. All right. So here is kind of the wrap up to this. All right. So again, up top, I want to point out that F bubble. That's a really cool play call too. So here's another aspect. So they've got kind of a semi-stack look on the right side, right? And again, this is 11 gun, strong left, T same, all right? And they've got the X on the line of scrimmage opposite the tight end, obviously. The F or the flyer is off the line of scrimmage with a half a yard to the right offset. I call it stack or semi-stack because it's essentially the same thing. And what you're doing here is if you come to the line of scrimmage, and you know how I just explained how most defenses will play, if you've got a stack look, they'll play the receiver that's on the line of scrimmage in a press kind of mentality, and then the other guy will play like 7 or 8 yards off. In this case, if they do that, guess what? When the ball is snapped, he's reading the X. The X is going to bypass the guy that's on the line of scrimmage, fight through it just like it's a pass route, right? Because essentially it is. As he's fighting through the press, that guy bumps, and he flips his hips to run with him. In all honesty, the X is actually blocking for the bubble. And what we mean by bubble, if you see the F bubble here, the bubble screen is they just fade just like a bubble away from the line of scrimmage, and they get out wide, flip their hips, turn to the quarterback to catch a quick flat pass, and you're off to the races. So the X occupies the press corner, right? Because he thinks I've got to press him at the line. He's got him completely occupied, all while fighting through the press to get to the guy who's actually covering the F to block him. So you're eliminating 2 defenders with 1 guy, essentially, if it plays out right. You got to get the right look. If they're playing like a double press where the inside corner is playing the inside shoulder of the X, and then the other guy is on the line of scrimmage real close to the F, Jordan's going to look out there and see those close splits and go, nope, no way I'm throwing that bubble, right? So now you're back to the weak outside zone RPO arrow. The Y's still on the table. What's the safety doing? Where's the hat count? Where's the edges split? Is there a defender on the outside shoulder of the Y? All those things come into play. That's why you got to be way smarter than me to play quarterback in the NFL. All that stuff's got to be processed in a split second. That's what Jordan did really well at the end of the year, man. So as far as results, the RPO, and I think he's encompassing, it's not just this bubble play, it's all of the RPO arrow. Anything that involved outside zone RPO arrow, okay? How many times we played it, we called it. On first down, we called it 9 times. We averaged 6.2 yards. On second down and 6 to 1 yards, 3 calls, we only averaged 2 yards per play. Red zone from the 10 in, okay, so from the 10-yard line inside the 10, called twice, scored a touchdown once, 50% success rate. Third and fourth down, including red zone, it was only called 1 time, 0% success rate. Second down and 7+, it was called once, averaged 2 yards. And red zone from 10 to 20 yards out was called 1 time, 0% success rate and a touchdown. So when Matt LaFleur is putting his offense together and they're doing what we call a self-scout, they're looking at this going, when was it successful? It was successful on first down. All right. One of our lead play calls on first down, because we average 6.2 yards per attempt on it, is going to be our weak outside zone RPO arrow concept, right? And then you go into the game week, you look at the previous 4-game saturation of your opponent, you look at your last 2 head-to-head matchups if it warrants it recently and there's no major coaching staff changes, and you go, okay, can we attack it? Here's the number way you look at it. When we're in 11 personnel with this semi-stack look, or we're in a 12 look, how do they play those 2 semi-stack looks? How do they play? Are they playing with 1 off? All right, guys, put the bubble in. We're putting the F bubble, the RPO arrow F bubble in this week. And it's really going to be a pre-snap, two reads at the line of scrimmage to determine here's where my play is. You basically, when he comes to the line, what Jordan's doing is, are we looking Y arrow or are we looking F bubble? F bubble's on the table. All right, cool. RPO's still on. Where's the safe? Give a little green 19, hey. See if they show the safety in the box. If they don't, all right. If the safety stays back, let's stick with the zone. The offensive line are all run blocking, doesn't make a hill of beans to them. Hand the ball off, go. If you do a ha-ha and they come up and play a little spur, now that corner is able to shade outside to take away from the bubble because they get paid to scout too, then it's a whole different approach. So
I think we should change the cadence at the line. I prefer
true international average of pressure.
I think that would be a good one.
Do you understand how many delay of games we would get, Tim? If
everybody, the whole offensive line.
Anything is better than.
Yeah, here we go.
That
so
really is.
This is the other thing I want to add, Jacob, real quick, and I'm done. I'll let you have the floor. When you look at this play and you see average yards per play, and this is why the details are important. Average yards per play, 4.8. You think, okay, not bad, right? But when you really self-scout and break it down, it was booty cheeks in every situation other than first down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's why all of this stuff matters. That's why Bobby Peters is the GOAT. I'm telling you, he's done a hell of a job with this book. You guys need to get it. So,
just real quick, I feel like in my mind's eye, I see this play happening almost 5 to 10 times a game when Devontae and Rodgers were together. It just seemed like they'd walk up to the line. He'd look over at Devontae. He'd see how the way that the DBs were structured, and it would just be that quick drop back. Boom. Devontae would just do that quick underneath bubble. He'd have Lazard kind of throwing that block out in front of him, and it just seemed like it worked. It was a guaranteed 7 to 12 yards no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
And Tay would take it a step further, man. Tay would get out there and just freelance. Yeah. That dude would and Rodgers would talk about it. He's like, he would laugh about it on the McAfee show and go, Devontae Adams can run whatever route he wants at any time. And they would come to the line and they'd be on the same page because Aaron has read a defense for so long. You know, you'll see it pre-snap and all right. And you just look at Tay and Tay's like, yep, I see it too. It could be a lookie. It could be just a quick slant, right? It could be that bubble if you do have a stack or a semi-stack look on that side or even a bunch set, right? They love to do it out of bunch, especially when they put the tight end, the Y flexed out on the line of scrimmage too. That can create some problems because those little bitty DBs get up there and like, hey, this tight end's about to run through my. Imagine Tucker Kraft on a 200-pound cornerback, and he's the lead blocker on a bubble. Give me that every day.
Even in that formation, you could have the slot running, like you said, Clayton, a quick slant on that RPO. Still, if you wanna bring the ball inside the numbers type thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Tim, what you got, man? Anything else you want to add here, bro?
Just looking forward to tomorrow. Joint practice. Got some family and friends coming into town this week, so we'll be at practice tomorrow. Nice. Do a little stadium tour, and then
let's go.
Yeah, then game day on Saturday for a nooner possible Super Bowl preview here at Lambeau Field.
Oh boy,
should be fun. So I'll be in attendance for both. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Emilio. What?
No, I was just saying I like that, Tim. I like that thought. Possible Lombardi game right here.
That's right.
That's a great point. So, like he said, tomorrow joint practice, 10:30 a.m. Central Time. The piss will be hot, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see how they respond. I really can't. And listen, if they come out and lay another egg joint practice, it ain't the end of the world. But I just want them. Let's put it this way. I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to get roasted for it. If they lay an egg, I want to see some piss flying. I want to see somebody out there pissed off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, our guys better wake up with their piss hot, like I said before. So
you just can't roll over like you did in Denver, man. And again, you got to – and I'm not talking about the preseason game. I'm talking about the joint practice. So I want to see the guys get physical out there. So I'm excited to hear what your takeaways are, Tim. And again, we'll have you a full update tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time on that. And I'm telling you, that 12 o'clock, like you said, that 12 noon game on Saturday's got me fired up. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be up early with stuff on the grill. It's going to be a pool day. We're going to be about 88 degrees. I'm going to be sauced up for the show and the post-game show. It's going to be ugly.
But, I'm excited. It's going to be my first time going to a Packer game at Lambeau with my father since 1994, I believe, 94 or 95. Wow. So it'll be Pop's chance to see the new digs. He hasn't been to a game at Lambeau since it was the old Green Monster. So
for real,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, he is gonna flip, dude. He is gonna flip.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what it's all about, man. What's really cool too is Saturday that game, and then it's literally Tuesdays the cuts, right?
Oh, wow.
Just insane. So, all right, we'll be back tomorrow. Emilio, Jacob, you guys got anything else? Any more kicker talk you want to get out of your system?
No, I do have a whole list of fun facts that I'll go over hopefully tomorrow with you guys. Some cool next gen stats and different stuff like that. But I will say, if you guys have one assignment tonight, go watch Josh Jacobs' high school highlight reel. Holy freaking crap. He was a quarterback. He can sling the ball. He can run the ball like nobody's business. Obviously, the guy would catch out of the backfield off like flea flickers. He was a freak. It leads me to believe there is something up the sleeve in Matt LaFleur's playbook this year where we may see Josh Jacobs throw a pass down the field.
Jacob, I've been talking about this all summer. We not? It's coming full circle. We used to have halfbacks throw the ball all the time.
You heard it from a fan right here.
You heard it here first, people, from me. Not that guy. He's illegal.
Oh, we're going to give him some.
All right, we're done. We're done. Appreciate everybody.
This show sucks.
We will see you tomorrow, hopefully. Listen, if you don't find it on YouTube, we'll be on X and Rumble because Jacob might have just did a sin. So we're so close. We're 3 days away from being remonetized. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Everybody have a great evening. Listen,
for those
get out of
listening on the pod,
thank you for making us part of your day. Tupac LaFleur. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.